History has just been rewritten. Behind the Vatican's closed doors, Pope Francis made a decision that will shake the foundations of the Catholic world. This isn't a random choice or a simple tradition. This is a calculated move with consequences that reach far beyond Rome. Today, I'll reveal the 5 explosive proofs that Francis handpicked Prevost to become Pope Leo XIV, and why this decision is sending shockwaves through every corner of the Church. What you're about to discover will challenge everything you thought you knew about power, faith, and destiny. Subscribe now and drop your thoughts below. Let's expose the truth together. Part 1. The Legacy of Pope Francis and the Dawn of a New Era. The Catholic Church, with its 2,000 years of history, has experienced countless moments of transformation. Yet few have been as quietly revolutionary as the era shaped by Pope Francis. His papacy, marked by humility, mercy, and a relentless commitment to the marginalized, has left an indelible mark on the Church and the world. As the white smoke rose above the Sistine Chapel to announce the election of Robert Francis Prevost as Pope Leo XIV, it was clear that this was not merely the passing of a torch, but the deliberate deepening of a mission. The Church was not just continuing, it was embarking on a new chapter, one that would carry forward the spirit and vision of Francis with renewed intensity. Pope Francis's years at the helm of the Church were characterized by a profound call to humility, a virtue he often described as the gateway to all virtues and the foundation of Christian life. He taught that true greatness is not found in power or prestige, but in service, compassion, and the willingness to lower oneself for the sake of others. This message resonated deeply in a world often obsessed with status and self-promotion. Francis reminded the faithful through word and example that the heart of the gospel is found in the simple, hidden acts of love, performed for the least among us. From the very beginning of his papacy, Francis set a tone of simplicity and pastoral closeness. He chose to live in the modest Casa Santa Marta, rather than the grand apostolic palace. He washed the feet of prisoners' women and Muslims on Holy Thursday. He embraced the poor, the sick, and the forgotten. His words were direct, but always gentle, calling the Church to be a field hospital for the wounded, rather than a fortress for the righteous. This radical approach challenged both the hierarchy and the laity to rediscover the heart of Christian discipleship. Yet Francis's vision was not just about personal piety, it was about structural change. He called for a church that listens, that walks with the people, and that is not afraid to get its hands dirty in the service of justice. His reforms touched every aspect of church life, from the Vatican's finances to the appointment of bishops, from the role of women to the care for creation. He convened synods that encouraged open dialogue and honest debate, trusting that the Holy Spirit speaks through the whole people of God. As the world watched the conclave's decision to elect Robert Francis Prevost as Pope Leo XIV, many sensed that this was not a random choice or a simple tradition. It was a calculated act of discernment shaped by 5 shocking reasons, each revealing the depth of Francis's pastoral vision and the urgent needs of our time. These reasons, while surprising to some, are woven into the fabric of the Church's mission to be a beacon of hope, justice, and reconciliation. The story of Leo XIV's rise is a testament to the Church's ongoing journey toward humility, unity, and courageous witness in a fractured world. Prevost's life and ministry embody the very values that Francis championed. Born in Chicago to Franco-Italian parents, Prevost's path led him from the heart of America to the peripheries of Peru, where he served as a missionary pastor and advocate for the poor. His experience abridges continents and cultures, making him a living symbol of the Church's universality and its preferential option for the poor. In choosing the name Leo XIV, Prevost signaled his intention to honor the legacy of Pope Leo XIII, whose encyclical Rerum Novarum laid the groundwork for modern Catholic social teaching. This connection underscores a commitment to the dignity of work, the rights of the poor, and the moral imperative to welcome the stranger. It is a clear message that the Church under Leo XIV will remain steadfast in its defense of migrants and the vulnerable, continuing the work begun by Francis. The election of Leo XIV is also a bold affirmation of the reforms initiated by Pope Francis. Prevost is not a passive successor, but a leader who will carry forward and deepen the Church's journey toward synodality, inclusivity, and care for creation. His leadership style, marked by humility and a listening heart, reflects Francis's own approach to governance, one that values discernment, consultation, and the wisdom of the entire people of God. Perhaps most surprisingly, Leo XIII's unique identity as both the first American pope and a son of Latin America positions him as a bridge between the global North and South. His dual citizenship and deep ties to Latin America make him a living embodiment of the Church's call to go out to the peripheries, to listen to the cries of the poor, and to foster authentic encounter across boundaries. But above all, Leo XIV's humility is not a rhetorical flourish, but the fruit of a lifetime spent in service to others. His years as a missionary in Peru, his pastoral work among the poor, and his leadership within the Augustinian order have shaped him into a shepherd who leads by example, not by command. This humility is the gateway to all virtues and the foundation of authentic Christian leadership. The election of Pope Leo XIV is a moment of hope and renewal for the Catholic Church. It is the fruit of Pope Francis's Visio and a vision rooted in humility, mercy, and the preferential option for the poor. The 5 shocking reasons behind this choice reveal a church that is unafraid to confront the realities of our time, to stand with the marginalized, and to seek unity in diversity. As the Church embarks on this new chapter, it does so with a renewed sense of purpose and a deep trust in the guidance of the Holy Spirit. The world is watching, and the call is clear: to be a church for the world, a church of humility, mercy, and hope. The mission continues, and with Leo XIV at the helm, the Church is poised to write a new and inspiring chapter in its long and storied history. Part 2. The first shocking reason: a pope for migrants and the marginalized. From the earliest days of his ministry, Pope Francis has made it unmistakably clear that the Church must be a home for the poor, the forgotten, and the excluded. This conviction has not only shaped his words, but has been the driving force behind his actions Pio Lices and the very direction of the Catholic Church in the 21st century. The election of Robert Francis Prevost as Pope Leo XIV is the strongest signal yet that this mission will not only continue, but be deepened and expanded. The first shocking reason Francis chose Prevost is his unwavering dedication to migrants and the marginalized, a commitment that is both deeply personal and profoundly theological. Prevost's life is a living testament to the Church's call to solidarity. Unlike many who serve from a distance, he chose to walk alongside those most in need. His decades as a missionary in Peru were not spent behind the walls of an institution, but in the dusty streets and humble homes of the poor. There he listened to their stories, shared in their struggles, and became a brother to those who had no one else. His ministry was not about charity as a handout, but about accompaniment, a journey together, sharing burdens and hopes. This approach resonates powerfully with the vision of Pope Francis, who has repeatedly called the Church to go out to the peripheries. For Francis, the peripheries are not just geographical, but existential, the places where people feel abandoned, misunderstood, or rejected. He has reminded the world that every human being is sacred, precious in the eyes of God, and has the right to live in peace. The Church, he insists, must be a bridge, not a wall. A field hospital, not a gated community. The world today is witnessing unprecedented migration crises. Millions are forced to flee their homelands due to war, poverty, persecution, or environmental disaster. In the face of rising nationalism and fear, the Church's voice has often been a lonely one, calling for compassion, justice, and the defense of human dignity. By elevating Prevost, someone who has lived among migrants and the marginalized, Francis has made a clear and bold statement: the Church will not retreat from this mission, no matter how unpopular or challenging it may be. Leo XIV's first public words as Pope echoed these themes with striking clarity. He spoke of a church that must seek together how to be a missionary. A church that builds bridges, dialogue always open to receive. All who need our charity, our presence, dialogue, and love. This is not a vague ideal, but a concrete program of action. It means opening doors not just in words, but in deeds, welcoming refugees, defending the rights of the undocumented, advocating for policies that protect families, and standing against all forms of discrimination and exclusion. The choice of the papal name Leo XIV is itself rich in symbolism. It recalls Pope Leo XIII, whose encyclical Rerum Novarum laid the foundation for modern Catholic social teaching. That document was a prophetic defense of the rights of workers, the dignity of labor, and the imperative to care for the poor. By aligning himself with this legacy, Leo XIV signals a renewed commitment to the social gospel, a church that is not afraid to challenge unjust structures and to speak out for those who have no voice. But this mission is not just about social justice in the abstract. It is about seeing the face of Christ in every person, especially those who suffer. Francis has often quoted the words of Jesus, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." This is the heart of the Christian faith, a love that is concrete, sacrificial, and without boundaries. Leo XIV's own journey has prepared him uniquely for this task. As a North American with deep roots in Latin America, he embodies the universality of the Church, a church that transcends borders, languages, and cultures. His life is a bridge between worlds, a living sign of the Church's call to unity in diversity. He knows firsthand the hopes and fears of migrants, the daily struggles of the poor, and the resilience of those who refuse to give up hope. In today's world where so many are tempted to build walls and close doors, Leo XIV Papacy is a prophetic witness to the power of encounter. He challenges the Church and the world to see beyond fear, to recognize the dignity of every person, and to build communities where all are welcome. This is not a naive dream, but the radical call of the gospel. As the Church moves forward under the leadership of Leo XIV, the mission to serve migrants and the marginalized will remain at the very heart of its identity. This is the first shocking reason for his election, a reason that is both a challenge and a promise. The Church is called to be a sign of hope in a world too often marked by division and despair. With Leo XIV, that hope takes on new flesh and blood rooted in a life lived for others and a faith that refuses to be silent in the face of suffering. Part 3. The second shocking reason: continuity and deepening of Francis's reforms. The election of Robert Francis Prevost as Pope Leo XIV is not merely a change in leadership. It is a profound affirmation of the reformist vision that Pope Francis has tirelessly pursued. This second shocking reason behind Francis's choice reveals a deliberate intention to continue and deepen the transformation of the Catholic Church, a transformation rooted in synodality, inclusivity, transparency, and care for creation. Prevost's elevation signals to the world that the Church's journey toward renewal is not a fleeting moment, but an enduring commitment. Pope Francis's papacy has been marked by a courageous willingness to confront entrenched structures and to challenge the status quo. His reforms have sought to make the Church more transparent, accountable, and responsive to the needs of the faithful. From the overhaul of the Vatican's financial institutions to the reform of the Roman Curia, Francis has aimed to purify the Church's governance and to restore trust among believers and the wider world. Prevost's role as prefect of the Dicastery for Bishops and president of the Pontifical Commission for Latin America placed him at the heart of this reform process. In these positions, he was responsible for overseeing the appointment of bishops worldwide, a task that requires discernment, wisdom, and a deep understanding of the Church's pastoral needs. His leadership style, characterized by humility and a listening heart, mirrors Francis's own approach to governance, which values consultation and the collective discernment of the people of God. Synodality, the process of walking together as a church, has been a hallmark of Francis's vision. It calls for a church where all voices are heard, where dialogue replaces monologue, and where decisions are made through prayerful discernment rather than top-down mandates. Prevost's experience in fostering dialogue across diverse cultures and ecclesial communities equips him to advance this vision. His election assures the faithful that the Church will continue to embrace synodality as a path toward greater communion and mission. Inclusivity is another pillar of Francis's reforms that Prevost is expected to uphold. The Church under Leo XIV will continue to welcome those on the margins, including women, youth, and those who have felt excluded. While remaining faithful to the Church's teachings, this inclusivity emphasizes pastoral care accompaniment and the recognition of the dignity of every person. Prevost's pastoral sensitivity and missionary background prepare him to lead a church that listens deeply and acts compassionately. Environmental stewardship, underscored by Francis's landmark encyclical Laudato Si', is also central to this continuity. Prevost has expressed a commitment to caring for creation and addressing the ecological crisis as a moral imperative. His papacy is expected to intensify the Church's advocacy for environmental justice, linking care for the earth with care for the poor who suffer most from ecological degradation. Yet Leo XIV's papacy is not only about continuity, it also promises a renewed sense of unity and order. His liturgical motto emphasizes our unity in Christ, signaling a desire to heal divisions within the Church and to foster a spirit of harmony amid diversity. This balance between reform and tradition is crucial for a church navigating the complexities of the modern world. The election of a relatively unknown figure like Prevost also reflects the Church's trust in the guidance of the Holy Spirit, rather than in worldly fame or influence. It is a reminder that true reform is not about personalities, but about fidelity to the gospel and responsiveness to the signs of the times. Prevost's humility and pastoral experience make him an ideal shepherd to carry forward the reforms initiated by Francis. In a time when the Church faces internal debates and external challenges, the choice of Leo XIII reassures the faithful that the journey of renewal will continue with courage and clarity. The second shocking reason for Prevost's election reveals a church committed to synodality, inclusivity, transparency, and ecological responsibility, a church that listens, learns, and leads with a servant's heart. As Pope Leo XIV steps into his role, he embodies the hope that the reforms begun by Francis will bear fruit, guiding the Church toward a future marked by greater communion, mission, and witness. This continuity is not a mere repetition, but a deepening of a vision that calls the Church to be a living sign of God's mercy and justice in the world. Part 4. The third shocking reason: a bridge between continents and cultures. The election of Pope Leo XIV, formerly Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, is a watershed moment, not only because he is the first American-born pope, but because his life story and ministry uniquely position him as a bridge between continents, cultures, and peoples. This is the third shocking reason behind his selection. Leo XIV embodies a new kind of global Catholic leadership, one that transcends national boundaries and speaks to the universal mission of the Church in the 21st century. From the outset, the very fact that the College of Cardinals chose an American stunned even seasoned Vatican observers and journalists. Historically, there has been a reluctance to elect a pope from the United States, given the country's immense political and economic influence on the world stage. Yet the Cardinals saw in Prevost something far beyond his passport. As many Vatican analysts and insiders have noted, Prevost was considered the least American among the U.S. cardinals, having spent the majority of his life and ministry outside the United States, particularly in Latin America and Rome. This global experience set him apart and ultimately became one of the decisive factors in his election. Prevost's journey began in Chicago, but his heart and vocation quickly drew him outward. After joining the Augustinian order, he was sent to Peru, where he spent over 2 decades serving as a missionary pastor and eventually bishop in some of the country's poorest regions. He became so deeply integrated into Peruvian life and culture that he acquired Peruvian citizenship in 2015. In Peru, he was affectionately known as the Saint of the North, a testament to his lasting impact on the communities he served. His fluency in Spanish and Italian alongside his native English allowed him to communicate and build relationships across linguistic and cultural divides. This lived experience as a missionary and pastor in Latin America shaped Prevost's worldview and pastoral priorities. He was formed by the Latin American Church's embrace of synodality, collegiality, and the preferential option for the poor hallmarks of the post-Vatican II era in the region. These values mirrored those of Pope Francis, under whom Prevost became a trusted advisor, especially in the critical area of bishop appointments. His deep connections to both North and South America and his years of service in Rome gave him a truly global perspective, one that resonated with the cardinals seeking a pope who could unite a diverse and often divided church. The choice of the name Leo XIV is itself a signal. It pays homage to Pope Leo XIII, whose encyclicals championed social justice workers' rights and the Church's engagement with the modern world. By invoking this legacy, Leo XIV signals a papacy that will be outward-looking, engaged with the world's challenges, and committed to building bridges both within the Church and beyond. Leo XIV's election also comes at a time of significant global tension and change. In his inaugural Mass at the Vatican, he warned against the lack of faith in a world increasingly dominated by technology, wealth, and power, calling the Church to be a light during the dark times of our world. He spoke of the urgent need for the Church to build connections, foster dialogue, and remain perpetually open, echoing the vision of a missionary church that reaches out rather than closes in on itself. His ability to unite people across boundaries is not just theoretical, it is rooted in a life of concrete action. As a leader in the Augustinian order, Prevost was instrumental in recruiting and forming native Peruvian vocations, ensuring that local communities could take ownership of their faith and leadership. He was known for his authenticity, humility, and willingness to listen, qualities that endeared him to those he served and to his fellow cardinals. As one cardinal reflected after the conclave, Prevost is very real. What you see is what you get. He's authentic. He cares about people and he doesn't pick a fight, but he won't run from it either. This bridge building extends to the most pressing issues facing the Church and the world. Leo XIV is expected to continue the legacy of Pope Francis in advocating for migrants, the poor, and the marginalized. He has publicly criticized policies that seek to rank or limit love and compassion, insisting that Jesus does not instruct us to rank our love for others as su. His commitment to dialogue and encounter positions him as a leader capable of navigating the complexities of a global church and a fractured world. In summary, the third shocking reason for Pope Francis's choice is that Leo XIV is not just a pope from America. He is a pope for the world. His life bridges North and South, rich and poor tradition and renewal. He is a living sign of the Church's universal mission and its call to unity in diversity. As the Church faces new challenges and opportunities, Leo XIV's papacy promises to be a great adventure in building bridges between peoples, cultures, and hearts. Part 5. The fourth shocking reason. A humble shepherd formed by mission pope. Leo XIV's election is remarkable not only for his background and vision, but for the distinctive humility and missionary spirit that have shaped his entire life and ministry. This fourth shocking reason underscores why Pope Francis saw in Prevost the ideal successor, a humble shepherd deeply formed by decades of missionary service, who leads not by power or prestige, but by example, compassion, and a profound sense of service. Leo XIV's journey began in Chicago, but his vocation quickly led him far beyond the familiar landscapes of his homeland. After joining the Augustinian order, he immersed himself in the study of philosophy and theology, eventually earning a degree in mathematics and later a licentiate in canon law in Rome. Yet, it was his missionary assignment to Peru that would transform him most deeply. For over 20 years, Prevost lived among the people of Chulucanas and Chiclayo, serving as a parish priest seminary professor and later as bishop. His life in Peru was marked by simplicity, solidarity, and a willingness to share in the joys and sufferings of the people. This missionary experience was not just a chapter in his biography. It became the crucible in which his pastoral identity was forged. As Prevost himself has often reflected, the part of my ministry that most shaped my life is my time in Peru. I was there for 20 years, 12 of those as an Augustinian doing parish work. The people of God in Peru have been a huge blessing to me. I feel deeply grateful for what I gained from my years there. Living among the poor and marginalized, he learned to listen, to accompany, and to serve with humility. He did not seek to impose, but to walk alongside, embodying the Augustinian ideal of one mind and one heart on the way to God. Pope Francis recognized the unique value of this formation. In a church often tempted by clericalism and the trappings of power, Francis wanted a missionary, a pastor from outside the Roman Curia, someone who would bring a fresh perspective and a lived experience of the gospel at the margins. Prevost's humility, rooted in his Augustinian spirituality and missionary life, made him the perfect candidate to lead the Church into a new era of evangelization and service. This humility is not weakness, but strength. In his first homily as Pope, Leo XIV made it clear that his authority would be exercised in the Spirit of Christ, who came not to be served but to serve. He spoke movingly of the need to disappear, so that Christ may remain, make oneself small, so that he may be known and glorified. This echoes the heart of Pope Francis's teaching that the Church's leaders must be shepherds who smell like the sheep, willing to lower themselves for the good of others. Leo XIV's humility is also evident in his approach to leadership. As prior general of the Augustinian order and later as bishop, he was known for his openness, his willingness to listen, and his ability to build consensus. He did not seek the spotlight, but quietly worked to empower others, foster unity, and encourage collaboration. His leadership style is collaborative and synodal, reflecting the vision of a church that walks together, not dominated by a single voice, but animated by the Holy Spirit speaking through all the faithful. This spirit of humility and service is desperately needed in today's world. As Bishop Munila of Orihuela, Alicante observed, Leo XIV's humility is eloquent, and his commitment to exercise authority without seeking personal prominence is a powerful witness to a world hungry for authenticity and integrity. In an era when many leaders seek attention and acclaim Leo XIV's example, challenges the Church to rediscover the heart of the gospel, to serve, to love, and to give without counting the cost. His missionary heart also shapes his vision for the Church's future. Leo XIV is expected to continue Francis's emphasis on a church that goes out to the peripheries, that welcomes the stranger, and that stands with the poor and oppressed. His own life is a testament to the transformative power of encounter of meeting Christ in the faces of the marginalized and the forgotten. He has consecrated dioceses to the Immaculate Heart of Mary and the Sacred Heart of Jesus, demonstrating a deep devotion and a desire to entrust his ministry to the love and mercy of God. In summary, the fourth shocking reason for Pope Francis's choice is clear. Leo XIV is a humble shepherd formed by mission, whose entire life has been a preparation for this moment. His humility, shaped by years of service among the poor, is the foundation of his leadership and the key to understanding the new direction of the Church. With Leo XIV, the Church is led by a pastor who knows what it means to serve, to listen, and to love. A leader who, like Francis, points always to Christ, the true shepherd of souls. Part 6. The fifth shocking reason: a papacy shaped by dialogue and mercy. The fifth and perhaps most transformative reason for Pope Francis's decision to support Robert Francis Prevost as Leo XIV is his unwavering commitment to dialogue and mercy. In a world increasingly divided by ideology, suspicion, and fear, Leo XIV's papacy is set apart by a pastoral approach that seeks not to judge from afar, but to walk with people where they are, to listen deeply, and to extend the healing embrace of God's mercy to all. From his earliest days as a priest and missionary, Prevost demonstrated a gift for building bridges. Whether in the barrios of Peru, the halls of the Augustinian order, or the offices of the Vatican, he has been known for his ability to listen without prejudice and to find common ground, even in the midst of disagreement. This capacity for dialogue is not simply a diplomatic skill. It is rooted in a profound theological conviction that every person is created in the image of God and worthy of respect, understanding, and love. Pope Francis has repeatedly called the Church to be a place of encounter, not exclusion. He has warned against a self-referential church that closes in on itself and loses sight of its mission to bring Christ's love to the world. Leo XIV embodies this vision. His pastoral style is marked by openness, patience, and a willingness to engage with those who feel alienated or misunderstood by the Church. He understands that true dialogue begins with listening, not lecturing, and that mercy is the heart of the gospel. This approach is especially evident in Leo XIV's response to some of the most sensitive and controversial issues facing the Church today. While always faithful to the Church's teachings, he has shown a remarkable capacity to accompany people in difficult situations, offering compassion without compromising on truth. For example, his support for the blessing of same-sex couples reflects a pastoral sensitivity that seeks to welcome and include rather than exclude or condemn. He recognizes that the Church's mission is not to create barriers, but to open doors, to offer hope, and to help all people encounter the transforming love of Christ. Leo XIV's commitment to mercy is not a departure from tradition, but a return to the very heart of the Christian faith. As Pope Francis has famously declared, the name of God is mercy. The Church insists must be a field hospital where wounds are healed and hope is restored. Leo XIV's papacy promises to deepen this mission, making the Church a place where everyone, regardless of background, past mistakes, or current struggles, can find a home. This spirit of dialogue also extends to the Church's relationship with the wider world. Leo XIV is expected to continue Francis's efforts to foster interfaith and ecumenical dialogue, to build bridges with other Christian communities and religions, and to promote peace and understanding in a world marked by conflict and division. His ability to speak multiple languages, his experience across continents, and his genuine respect for cultural diversity make him an ideal leader for this global mission. In his first public addresses as Pope, Leo XIV has already signaled his intention to lead the Church with gentleness, clarity, and courage. He has called Catholics and all people of goodwill to advance together, united, and hand in hand with God, and to never tire of seeking dialogue, reconciliation, and peace. These words are not empty slogans, but a roadmap for a church that seeks to be truly universal, a church that embraces humanity in all its complexity, brokenness, and beauty. In summary, the fifth shocking reason for Pope Francis's choice is Leo XIV's profound commitment to dialogue and mercy. His papacy is a living witness to the belief that the Church's greatest strength lies not in its power or prestige, but in its capacity to listen, to accompany, and to heal. With Leo XIV, the Church is poised to become ever more a sign of hope, unity, and compassion in a world that desperately needs all three. And Part 7. The Role of Humility in the Church's Renewal. From his very first moments as Pope, Leo XIV has placed humility at the heart of his vision for the Catholic Church. In his inaugural Mass, attended by the cardinals who elected him, he pledged to be a faithful administrator and called on the priesthood and Vatican leadership to embrace humility as the foundation for true service. Quoting Saint Ignatius of Antioch, he reminded the cardinals that their mission is to move aside so that Christ may remain, and to humble themselves so that he may be known. This message is not merely rhetorical. It echoes the core of Pope Francis's own teachings and signals a profound continuity in the Church's spiritual direction. Pope Leo XIV's vision is clear. Humility is not just a personal virtue, but the key to renewal for the entire Church. In his first address to the College of Cardinals, he situated his leadership as both a continuation of his predecessors' legacies and a prophetic response to the pressing realities of the modern era. He framed the death of Pope Francis and the subsequent conclave as part of the Church's ongoing journey, illuminated by the hope of the resurrection. This perspective calls every Catholic, especially those in leadership and service, to see every transition and challenge through the lens of Christian hope and humility. At the core of Pope Leo XIV's priorities is a reaffirmation of the Church's paschal identity, a community shaped by the mystery of Christ's death and resurrection, called to continual conversion and renewal. He urges the Church to embrace synodality and missionary conversion, drawing from the spirit of Evangelii Gaudium. For Leo XIV, the Church must be one that listens, discerns, and moves outward in mission, always keeping Christ at the center of all proclamation and action. This call has special resonance for Catholic professionals and leaders who are challenged not merely to function within institutions, but to be authentic witnesses of Christ's presence in the world. Humility for Pope Leo XIV is the antidote to clericalism, pride, and the temptation to seek power or prestige. He describes the Pope as nothing more than a humble servant of God and of his brothers and sisters. This is a radical statement in a world often obsessed with status and influence. Leo XIV's leadership style, shaped by years of missionary service and pastoral work among the poor, is characterized by openness, listening, and a willingness to empower others. He does not seek to dominate, but to foster unity, collaboration, and a spirit of service throughout the Church. This humble approach is not a retreat from the world, but a bold engagement with its challenges. Pope Leo XIV recognizes that the Church must respond to new realities, such as technological change, artificial intelligence, and threats to human dignity, with the same humility and courage that marked the great social encyclicals of the past. He draws inspiration from Pope Leo XIII and the legacy of Rerum Novarum, insisting that the Church's social teaching remains a vital resource for justice and peace in our time. Leo XIV's humility is also deeply missionary. He sees the Church as a field hospital, always going forth, always listening to the cries of the world and responding with joy and hope. His own life, shaped by multiple cultures and continents, reflects the universality of the Church, a community that excludes no one and walks alongside all peoples. He envisions a church that reconciles differences, fosters fraternity, and builds bridges rather than walls. For Leo XIV, humility is the road that leads to unity, peace, and coexistence. In summary, the seventh part of this journey reveals that humility is not just a virtue among many, it is the soul of the Church's renewal. Pope Leo XIV calls every Catholic, especially those in leadership, to rediscover the joy and freedom that come from humble service. Only a Church that remembers its roots in humility and mission can truly flourish and bring hope to the world. As Pope Leo leads the Church forward, he does so along the humble missionary road, toward a future marked by unity, peace, and authentic witness to Christ. Part 8. The importance of cultivating the inner life. At the heart of Pope Leo XIV's vision for the Church is a profound call to return to the interior life, a theme that resonates deeply with both his Augustinian roots and the spiritual legacy of Pope Francis. In his earliest homilies and public addresses, Leo XIV has emphasized that all authentic action, reform, and mission must be rooted in a well-nourished spiritual life cultivated through prayer, contemplation, and attentive listening to God's voice within. This focus on the inner life is not merely a matter of personal piety. It is the foundation for genuine Christian witness and effective service in the world. Pope Francis, too, has consistently urged the faithful to prioritize the stewardship of the inner life over mere appearances or public image. He warned that in today's world, where so much attention is given to outward impressions, there is a real danger of neglecting the oil of the soul, the invisible but essential spiritual resources that sustain faith, hope, and love. Drawing from the wisdom of Saint Augustine, Leo XIV reminds Catholics that the deepest transformation happens in the heart. Augustine's famous prayer, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you," captures the essence of this journey. As an Augustinian, Leo XII's spirituality is marked by a relentless search for truth, unity, and love values that demand a continual turning inward to encounter Christ and to be conformed to his image. In his first homily as Pope, Leo XIV quoted St. Augustine, "With you, I am a Christian, and for you, I am a bishop." He stressed the need to move aside so that Christ may remain, to make oneself small so that he may be known and glorified. This humility is only possible for those who are grounded in prayer and silence, who know how to listen to their own hearts and to discern the gentle promptings of the Holy Spirit. Pope Francis has also highlighted the necessity of making room for silence and contemplation, especially in a noisy and distract-ed world. He taught that without the oil of the inner life, our lamps cannot give light. Without this hidden spiritual preparation, our witness will be empty and ineffective. Contemplation, he said, is not an escape from reality, but the very source of the courage and compassion needed to face the world's challenges. For Pope Leo XIV, the cultivation of the inner life is not a private luxury, but a communal responsibility. The Church's mission to serve the poor, heal divisions, and proclaim the gospel must flow from hearts that have been transformed by Christ. This is why he calls all Catholics, especially those in leadership and service, to prioritize prayer, fraternity, and docility to the Holy Spirit. Only from this deep wellspring can the Church respond wisely and compassionately to the complex realities of our time, including the ethical challenges of technology, artificial intelligence, and global injustice. Augustinian spirituality, with its emphasis on veritas, truth, unitas, un ite, and caritas, love, provides a practical roadmap for this journey. It calls believers to walk together as a pilgrim, people listening intensely to one another and to the cries of the marginalized, always discerning how best to make Christ present in the world today. This spirit of synodality, of walking together, is fundamentally about cultivating the interior disposition to love, listen, and discern. In summary, Pope Leo XIV's insistence on the inner life is not a retreat from the world, but a preparation for deeper engagement with it. He challenges the Church to rediscover the silence, humility, and prayer that allow Christ to be at the center of all we do. Only then can the Church be a true field hospital, a beacon of hope, and a credible witness to the love of God in a restless and wounded world. Part 10. A Church for the World. The mission continues. Pope Leo XIV's election marks not just a historical milestone as the first American to ascend to the papacy, but also a powerful testament to the Church's ongoing renewal. A renewal deeply rooted in the vision of Pope Francis, and now carried forward with fresh energy and perspective. Leo XIV's journey from Chicago to Peru, from missionary to bishop, and finally to the chair of saint, Peter embodies the Catholic Church's call to universality, compassion, and unity in diversity. From the outset, Leo XIV has made it clear that his papacy will be shaped by the same spirit of humility and service that defined his predecessor. He has repeatedly emphasized his identity as a son of St. Augustine, drawing on the Augustinian tradition of unity, listening, and missionary zeal. In his opening remarks, he echoed St. Augustine's famous words, "For you I am a bishop. With you I am a Christian," signaling his intent to walk alongside the faithful as both leader and fellow pilgrim. Leo XIV's vision for the Church is both global and pastoral. He has pledged to continue Francis's core priorities, defending the dignity of migrants and the marginalized, promoting social and economic justice, and fostering a synodal listening Church. Yet, he is also making the papacy his own, responding to the unique challenges of our age. In his first major address, he identified artificial intelligence as one of humanity's most critical issues, vowing that the Church would engage with this new frontier not with fear, but with wisdom, moral clarity, and a commitment to the common good. His actions since the election have reflected this blend of tradition and innovation. Rather than remaining within the Vatican walls, Leo XIV's first public outing was to a Marian sanctuary south of Rome, significant to his Augustinian heritage, and to Pope Leo III, whose legacy he honors by his chosen papal name. There he prayed, greeted pilgrims, and reminded the faithful that every gift brings with it a responsibility. A message that resonates with his vision of a Church that is both contemplative and active, rooted in prayer, and committed to service. Leo XIV's background as a missionary in Peru and as a global leader of the Augustinian order has uniquely prepared him for this moment. He is widely regarded as calm, balanced, and attentive to the needs of the universal Church, not just the Western world. His years in Latin America have given him a deep appreciation for the vibrancy and challenges of the global South, while his time in Rome and his leadership roles have equipped him to navigate the complexities of Vatican governance and international Catholicism. Importantly, Leo XIV's papacy is seen as a strong affirmation of Pope Francis's legacy. He was appointed to key Vatican positions by Francis, including as prefect for the dicastery for bishops and president of the Pontifical Commission for Latin America, and was regarded as a trusted advisor. His election after only 4 ballots in the conclave demonstrates the cardinal's confidence in his ability to unite the Church and carry forward a vision of compassion, dialogue, and reform. Yet Leo XIV is not simply a caretaker of Francis's legacy. He brings his own voice and priorities to the papacy. He has demonstrated a willingness to engage with contemporary debates, pushing back against narrow interpretations of Catholic teaching and insisting that the Church's love cannot be ranked or limited by ideology. His presence on social media before his election and his openness to dialogue signal a new era of accessibility and engagement for the papacy. In this new chapter, Pope Leo XIV calls the Church to be a light during the dark times of our world, a field hospital for the wounded, and a bridge between people's cultures and generations. He challenges Catholics everywhere to embrace their missionary calling to walk together in faith and to respond to the world's needs with courage, hope, and humility. The mission continues. Under Leo XIV, the Church is poised to deepen its commitment to justice, mercy, and unity, serving as a beacon of hope for all humanity, especially those most in need. This is not just a new papacy. It is a renewed invitation to every Catholic and to all people of goodwill to join in building a more compassionate and reconciled world.